everybody. Store. So it is Shabbat Hanukkah. Friday night, Saturday, Shabbat. Hanukkah began last night, right? Some years we have two Shabbat Hanukkahs. When the first night is Shabbat, the last night will be Shabbat. We missed it by a day this year. So we have one Shabbat Hanukkah, and that's going to be tonight. So we are so happy to have all of you who are here in person. Mazel tov, congratulations, grandparents, family, friends, everybody. And to everybody who's with us on live stream, Max, we thank you for helping in the back. And Peter, you're always helping too, but tonight we're going to let you be just the dad tonight. So everybody who's on live stream, welcome again, Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah to you. And we are going to begin with what we call the mitzvah of Hadlakat Nerot, the lighting of candles, which you can see set up right here. 8 nights, Jews all over the world light Hanukkah candles, but when it's Shabbat, we light Hanukkah and then Shabbat candles. According to our tradition, it makes a difference because once we light Shabbat candles, then we consider it Shabbat and we don't light any candles after that until Saturday night. So we're going to do Hanukkah and then Shabbat. I am so excited to celebrate this wonderful simcha of Juliana's bat mitzvah with all of us. How about a big mazel tov to Juliana, to Sarah, to Peter? Mazel tov, guys. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So at this time, why don't we light candles? We're going to invite Juliana, Mom and Dad, come up by the Hadlakat Nerot. For those of you who may have a custom of standing for candle lighting, you're welcome to do so. If you want to sit, you're also welcome to do so. Juliana is going to light the shamash. This was a Chanukiah, you can check it out later, that Juliana made, was it yesterday?
Preschool.
Oh, preschool. Yeah, but weren't you in preschool yesterday? Ha, right. Preschool was what, like age what, 4? Yeah. 5, something like that? So you're talking you've had this for like a good 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Beautiful things last, and it's gorgeous. Looks like you just made it. I remember we used to get the little nuts and bolts, and the kids used to make it. Beautiful. So according to the tradition, Julia's going to light the shamash in the middle. God, baby, you can do that. We're going to start singing the brachot. Tonight there are, take your time. You know what you've told me? Got to do this first.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. Tonight there are 2 brachot. Last night we sang 3, Shechianu, first night. But tonight there's 2. So we're going to sing the first one, and then we're going to sing the second one, the Shas Anisim, and join us, and then Juliana will light the 2 candles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. And in your Sidurim, on page 429, we're going to continue in the margin with the traditional singing of Ma'ot Tzur, which Jews all over the world sing right after the brachot. Ma'ot Tzur Yeshuati Lechana El Shabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati V'sham Toda Nizabeach Li'et Tachin Matbeach Mitzar HaMabeach Azegmor B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Azegmor B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach. And that beautiful song that, again, Jews all over the world are singing tonight, thanks God for the miracle of Hanukkah, for the ability to rededicate the temple and our lives and to keep Judaism alive at that time of Judah and the Maccabees. So we'll do that for all the nights of Hanukkah, and what a great night to do it on Shabbat and Hanukkah. So now we're going to continue with Hadlakat Nerot for Shabbat. No problem, take your time. Here, actually, do the bottom of this one first. Amen. How beautiful. At this time, we're going to ask Juliana, put your seat door over there. And Mom and Dad, why don't you go up and join her? We'll do that over there. Everybody who's with family or friends who are comfortable putting arms around each other, traditionally now is the time for Birkat HaMishpacha, for the blessing of the families after the candles are lit. So we're going to start with the girls in honor of Juliana's bat mitzvah. For Juliana and all the wonderful women in the room and watching us here, we say to you, Yisimech Elohim, Kesara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May God bless you as he did Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. For all the boys, all the men who are with us here and on the camera, we say Yisimcha Elohim Ke'Ephraim v'Menashe. May God bless you as he did Ephraim and Menashe. May you all be blessed this Shabbat Hanukkah 5781, and let us say Amen. Wonderful, beautiful, excellent. Now we're on page 5, and at the bottom we invite you to join us in welcoming the Shabbat Hanukkah spirit with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And to everyone we say Shalom Aleichem. Peace be unto you. We're living in a very challenging, troubled world, so all the more so. We look for peace. May it start with ourselves. May we try to bring peace to this world. And every day we pray for a better world for one and for all. We hope we'll see it in the near future. Amen.
Amen.
Beautiful. Eshkoch and Mazel Tov, guys. What a great start. We're going to continue on page 14. You'll be back in a few pages. You can either sit here or sit there, wherever you want. Or you can just stand there and sing. It's up to you, really, whatever you want to do. Page 14, we are going to celebrate with joy the word Yismechu from Simcha. This is truly a great Simcha tonight. Look, they say good things come in threes. We got 3 Simchas tonight. What are they? Shabbos, Hanukkah, Bar Mitzvah. 3 for 3. There you go. Thanks for making it a trifecta, Juliana. We're in perfect shape. So on page 14, we're going to express our joy over all these at the red arrow. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umalawo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. I want to invite you to turn to page 16. 16, we are in the Hebrew. 4 lines from the bottom is Or Zarua. Or Zarua says that for those who aspire to righteousness, they will find their way through the darkness. They will find the light needed to guide them to good places. And you know that Shabbat and Hanukkah are all about the lighting of the lights. So we hope in the light you will see all good things during this time of darkness in the world, much darkness. May we find the light, see the light at the end of the tunnel in ourselves and in others, and hang in there with faith and courage to see better days. Zarua 16. Or Zarua, La Tzadik, Ole Yisrael Simcha. Or Zarua, La Tzadik, Ole Yisrael Simcha. Or Zarua, La Tzadik, Ole Yisrael Simcha. Ole Yisrael Simcha. Or Zarua, La Tzadik, Ole Yisrael Simcha. Ole Yisrael Simcha. Or Zarua 3 times. Or Zarua. Or Zarua. Or Zarua. Excuse me. Woo. Used to singing through a mask all the time. Holy cow. Okay. Juliana, we're going to invite you to come back here. Open your Siddur. Turn to page 23. And as you do so, we are going to offer a prayer for you. We're going to say Adonai Oz Li'amo Yitain, Adonai Yivarech et Damo V'Shalom. May God bless you and all of us with strength and comfort and peace on this Shabbat of Hanukkah and always. Amen. Page 23. We're going to welcome the Shabbat Queen. She's not here yet because she waits for us to sing to her. So we're going to sing Lecha Dodi, which we do every week. We're going to sing the first 3 stanzas on 23, and then we'll turn to the last page, sing the last 2. I'll tell you when. Page 23, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmiyanhu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo tiferet v'nitchila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh v'machshavat chila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzim hitofavecha, Rav lach shevet vehem merkavacha, vehu yachmol alaychem la. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
I'm going to turn ahead to 25, a couple of pages. Right in the middle verse, Yamin.
Yaminu smol tifrotzi, v'yet Adonai taritzi, al yadish bein fartzi, v'nismacha v'nagila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likra kala, nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala. Peni shava nekabela.
Bottom of the page, the last verse, we invite you to rise and face the door in traditional fashion. So we'll sing to the Sabbath Queen and welcome her into our midst.
Boi v'shalom ha'atzeret bala, gam b'simcha sohala, toch emunei am segula, boi kala, boi kala. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, peni shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likra kala. Beni Shabbat Kabela.
Beautiful. You may be seated in Shabbat Shalom to one and to all. Now that the Sabbath bride is here, we are complete. The top of page 25, I want to share with you a phrase a lot of you know. It's called Onig Shabbat. Onig Shabbat is the Shabbat delight, the celebration of Shabbat. And it's like the basis for all the beautiful things that we do to observe and celebrate Shabbat. So, Juliana, we hope you will delight in every Shabbat. Whether you're here or at home, whatever you're doing, may the lighting of candles as you did today, may the singing of Kiddush and Hamotzi that we'll do, gathering with people, studying, praying, all that, may all that give you joy as you take pride in being a member of the Jewish people. And this weekend we celebrate the fact that you're becoming a member of the adult Jewish community, and that is a great celebration. So we hope that you'll always be blessed with Oneg Shabbat, delighting in the Sabbath day. Amen. We want to turn to page 28. At the red arrow, the song from the Psalm for Shabbat. Tzadikat Tamar Yifrach Ke'erez Balvanon Yiske Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvon Beseheva Deshenim Verananim Yiheyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Tzuri Velo Avlatabo. One of the greatest joys of Jewish life is the celebration of family and community. We love being together. Corona's challenged that, hasn't it? But we've still found a way. We're putting on masks, we're sitting in smaller groups, and with Zoom and live stream, we have met plenty and continue to flourish. So I want to invite you to sing Hine Matov, how good it is to be together, and how wonderful, Julianne, it is to celebrate your bat mitzvah with your family and friends on this beautiful Shabbat Hanukkah. Hine Matovu Manayim, Shevet Achim, Kam Yachad. Hine Matovu Manayim, Shevet Achim, Kam Yachad. We hope you'll always delight in the presence of each other. Amen. And now we're going to turn to page 39. We are going to continue at the beginning of the Mariv evening service with Baruch, which is the opening prayer that celebrates our community gathered together. For those of you who like to rise, we'll invite you to do so. Page 39a. Joel, come here. Come stand next to me. Do you know Baruch? You know Baruch?
U'et Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. The day ends, the night begins. Shabbat is here, a day of joy. The cycles of time, days follow nights, and nights follow days. Enjoy the blessings that come into our lives from both. Baruch atah Adonai hamariva ravim. Blessed are you, O Lord. Thank you for the gifts of the evening. Amen. Page 40. In the Hebrew, we're going to celebrate Torah in our lives. Juliana, you've had a great Jewish education so far in your life, and you learned so much. So we hope you'll always embrace Torah and the goodness of Jewish study. 5 lines from the bottom. Ki heim chayeinu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki heim chayeinu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki heim chayeinu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki em chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla. V'avatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Amen. Page 41, our Bar Mitzvah leads us in Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad.
Baruch
Baruch
Shem
Shem
Kevod
Kevod
Malchuto
Malchuto
Le'olam
Le'olam Va'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'leftecha v'derech u'shoftecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'yalu totafot b'neinecha u'ftavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
And now Juliana shares with us the English of Shema Yisrael on page 41.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Praise be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates.
Page 42, the next 2 paragraphs of the Shema are on our own. V'yam Shemot Yishmuel mitzvotai. V'yamar Moshe le'mor daber. And at the bottom of page 42, the last 3 words, Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn to page 44. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, norati lot Osei fele, malchutecha rovanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam vahed, v'nemar kifat Adonai et Yaakov, Ugelo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Page 45. Page 45 is a prayer of shalom, hashkivenu. We ask God to allow us to lay down in peace and to waken up again in the morning in peace. And when people take trips and travel, people often say to them, Tzeitkum l'shalom uvoachim l'shalom. Go in peace and come in peace. Right now we're living in a world where a lot less people are traveling, as you know. People are more rooted to their homes and to safer places, but we're going to look forward to one day when all that will change. And it will change, because we have a perspective of world history. We know that we'll travel again, and so wherever you go, whether it's a short distance or a long distance, we hope that you will travel in peace and you will lay down in peace each and every night. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We bless you, O Lord. Help us to spread the canopy of peace over ourselves, our families, and our homes, over all of Israel, over Jerusalem, and over all of humanity. And let us say, Amen. Page 46. Juliana, come join us again and lead us in Vishamru.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. כי שישית ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם.
We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish.
יגדל ויקדש שמי רבב.
Amen.
יעמד יברח ירצה וימליך מלכותי בחייכם וביומייכם ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו. ישמי רבה מבורך לעולם ומלמי ומיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר וירומם נתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קדושה לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירה ויאמה וימרו. Amen.
Juliana Yashkov on a beautiful service so far. Voice and everything just wonderful. What a great Shabbat service. Page 47, we are now going to continue individually with the prayers of the Amidah, which is traditionally said standing for those who are willing and able. There's the Hebrew, the English, and the prayers in our hearts, page 47. would invite you to turn to page 51, right below the middle. So we say Shabbat Shalom for a reason, because we hope it'll be a day of peace for one and for all. So we're going to sing two songs of peace. The first one is on 51, and it's Shalom Rav, which means a great peace. May great peace descend on us, on all of America, Jewish people, all of humanity. Amen. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. And now we're going to invite our bat mitzvah and another recent bat mitzvah, two dear friends, Juliana and Jemmy. Come on up here and lead us in Oseh Shalom. You're going to find these words on page 52 at the bottom. Come close, guys. Sing together. Oseh.
Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yal 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 kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. There you go. Thank you. Gee, well, I know somebody's paying attention. And a happy Hanukkah to everyone. So, Chag Sameach. So, my God, there's so many ways to say and write these things. You know what I did? Every Shabbat Friday, I have a tradition of texting a lot of people Shabbat Shalom. If I sit here, can people see me? Is that okay? If I sit down for a minute? When that table wasn't there, I used to pull up a chair and just kind of like settle in, you know? I don't know. Maybe I thought it was like a Roosevelt fireside chat. I don't know, but it was fun to sit down. So anyway, I haven't sat down in a long time because everything's been different. But so I texted today, Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah to a number of friends. And I texted Hanukkah, probably Hanukkah. And one of my dear friends who's a very traditional Jew, she goes to Temple Sinai, she texted back, spell it right, Chanukkah. And we both had a good laugh. Because in English, there is no correct way to spell Hanukkah, because it's not an English word. It's a Hebrew word. There's correct ways to spell it in Hebrew. There's actually more than one way to spell it in Hebrew. You can spell it with the Vav and without the Vav. But in English, whether it's a CH or an H or two Ks or one K or whatever it is, it doesn't make a difference. It's an attempt to let people who speak English say a Hebrew word in characters that they're familiar with. So you can't go wrong with Hanukkah in English, but in Hebrew you can. So all different things. Then people have all sorts of ways of saying Happy Hanukkah. Do you know some different ways people say Happy Hanukkah? What you might, you would say Chag.
A friend who wasn't Jewish couldn't say Chag Sameach.
Right.
He said Hugs and Melach.
Hugs and Melach. There you go. after you eat all those greasy latkes, you're going to need some malak. So it's maybe not a bad idea, right? If that's what it's called. So, right, not everybody can say the sounds of different languages if you're not born into it or you don't learn it. But Chag Sameach is one way of doing it. That's a generic happy holiday. Chag is a festival or a holiday, and Sameach is happy. That's one way. Anybody know any other ways of doing that? A lot of times people specify. They will say Chag Chanukah Sameach as opposed to Chag Sukkot Sameach or Chag Pesach Sameach. So sometimes they'll specify, so you might hear Chag Chanukah Sameach. Then the same thing for Shabbat. What are some ways of wishing each other good Shabbat? Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos, English, right? The Yiddish, right? Sometimes. Get the Shabbos, right? So you have different ways of wishing people this stuff, and it's all good. They're all great ways of doing it. So, Juliana, I'm going to ask a couple questions. We're going to talk about a couple things. As the bat mitzvah, you will have first crack at answers if you want. If you decide you've done enough, then you can sit back and let everybody else do it. It's quite all right. It's all good. But I'm going to let you jump in if you want. So, who here likes Hanukkah? Okay. If there's a child without their hand in the air, they are lying. Absolutely lying, because we all know how much kids get excited about Hanukkah. Do we remember the Hebrew date of Hanukkah? What was last night? Go ahead, say it, dear.
25th of Kislev.
Excellent. 25th of Kislev is the Hebrew date of Hanukkah. It lasts for 8 nights, as you all know. And it's the only major holiday that begins in one month and ends in another. Hanukkah begins in Kislev, but because it's more than the days of Kislev will bear, it's going to end in the next month, which is Tevet. Oh, we got a ringer here tonight. I got to be careful. I better make sure I'm telling you the right stuff because I got someone who will tell me I'm wrong. What?
Jeopardy contestant.
Yeah, really. So it finishes in Tevet on the 3rd, and tomorrow we are going to have Shabbat Mevarchim HaChodesh, the Sabbath in which we'll announce and bless the upcoming month of Tevet. That'll be tomorrow. It's always the Shabbat before. So, Juliana, you like Hanukkah? Yeah. Can you tell us the reason why? That's what a lot of people say. It's a great time of gift giving, right? And the presents go here and the presents go there, and there's all sorts and all ways to give presents. Excellent. And
his latkes.
Dad's latkes, huh? Did you have them last night yet? Yeah. Already? How were they? Good? Super. So maybe I should then.
An extra present for that.
There you go. Maybe I should threaten Dad and say, I'm not bat mitzvahing her until I get a sample tasting of one of these things. So, but you got till tomorrow noon, so you got plenty of time, bring it back. So latkes is like a traditional food that a lot of us enjoy and eat, but they don't do that in Israel so much. What do they celebrate in Israel with? Sufganiyot, which are donuts, yeah. I just got several pictures from my daughter in Israel and a few other people who were making sufganiyot. That's what they do. And they have them all over Israel. If you've ever been to Israel during Hanukkah, I've had the fortune to be there many times during Hanukkah, by myself, with family, and with big trips. We used to lead a lot of midwinter trips in synagogue. Hopefully we'll do it again. Sufganiyot are everywhere, everywhere. And not just in food stores. They're just everywhere. That's the thing. I love to tell a story that one year we were, I believe, in Caesarea. No, we were in Tiberias. Yeah, Tiberias, right on the Sea of Galilee. And we were driving in the evening, it was Hanukkah, and we had a tour bus, and we were driving down the street, and we stopped at a red light. All of a sudden, there was this loud knocking at the door, and there were 2 men standing there, and the driver kind of went like this, like it's not a city bus, it's a charter bus, you can't get on. But they were very insistent, so we opened the door to tell them. Before we knew it, the 2 of them jumped on board. They were 2 Hasidim with their hats and their tzitzis, the whole thing. And in each hand, they had a big box of sufganiyot, and they ran up and down the aisle giving out jelly but donuts to everybody on the trip. I would have loved to have lied and told them that I had arranged for that, but I didn't. It just happened. And it was really, really cool. So that's like Israel during Hanukkah. It's really cool. These days, I don't know, with Corona, they're really trying to cut down on this stuff. So I'm not so sure these things are happening now. But when things get easier again, that's just Hanukkah in Israel. There's sufganiyot. And we have latkes here, and the common element between them is the frying of the oil, right? So oil is a big part of the holiday, as you all know. Of According to tradition, what happened when the Maccabees finally went into the temple in 164 before the Common Era, they wanted to right away relight the menorot. We have two beautiful ones on our walls, and they wanted to relight the Ner Tamid, which is also spoken about in the Torah, which is ancient. And they looked, and you know the story. How much oil did they find? Right, enough for one day, one night. And then they had to make a decision what to do. But it seems they decided to light it right away, and then, wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, what happened to the oil? Lasted for 8 nights. And so we celebrate the miracle of the light of the oil. It's a big thing. So there are some reasons to celebrate Hanukkah. Anybody else want to tell us what you like about Hanukkah? Like what's fun about it, or enjoyable, or significant, or meaningful, besides the gifts, or what it's all about for you? Because it's a lot more than gifts, that's for sure.
Being together with family.
Celebration, the joy, yeah. Again, this year's a different year because we're just not the same way. I mean, look at us here, right? You would have had a lot more people here tonight, sitting a lot closer together. All right, we'll get through. We're celebrating what's good about it. But the whole idea of joy, of celebration, of family, and of friends. Can you imagine if you had to spend Hanukkah 8 nights alone? First of all, there'd be nobody to give you gifts. There'd be no one for you to give gifts to. So the idea of joy and family is another big thing behind Hanukkah. If I asked you, if someone stopped you and said, you know what, I'm not Jewish, I don't really know anything about this holiday, like what's it all about in one sense? Not like a year, one sense. What would you tell people? Why do we do Hanukkah?
Religious freedom.
Celebrates religious freedom. The Maccabees and the Hasmoneans felt that the Syrian Greeks had taken over too much of their homeland and had brought in paganism and Hellenism, and they wanted to reclaim it for Judaism. And so they fought 3 years to do that, and that's what the rededication of the temple was all about. Excellent. Any other thing you would tell them, like the first thing Hanukkah's about? Joy, togetherness, right? It's definitely Zman Simchatenu, season of rejoicing. It's also a time, for celebrate the nace, the miracle. And the miracle that happened for our ancestors, well, there are a lot of miracles, and the miracles that are happening for us really are. You could argue today, if you're not sick in this world today, it's a miracle. So many people did get sick and have gotten sick, and who knows where all this is going. So there's a lot of things to say about Hanukkah. Juliana, as you become a bat mitzvah, I hope that you and all of us will all figure out our connections to holidays. And they change all the time. When you were in preschool and you made that Chanukiah, it was a fun project, but now you have more of an awareness of what Hanukkah's about. So it's going to mean something more to you than it did 8 years ago. And that's good. Same thing next year. Next year, it's called change. It's called growth. It's a great thing. We hope we'll all find our connections to the holiday. And when people say to you, why do you like Hanukkah? Or what's it about? Like a lot of people have a lot of reasons. My kids sent me an Instagram. I wouldn't know where in the world to find an Instagram if you left me alone with a roadmap. They sent me an Instagram. Our Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who is married to a Jewish man, Doug Emhoff, they posted the lighting of the candle last night, the first night. It was really cool. And it was sent to me because people wanted me to see, that and all, for obvious reasons. So Kamala said, Hanukkah is one of my favorite holidays because of the light. That was her answer. She said, because of the light, and that light has a way of piercing the darkness. And she talked about the darkness in the world for a moment, with illness and political divisiveness. She's been a part of it. We've all been a part of it. But light is hope, and it pierces the darkness, and it makes things better. And she talked about that for a moment. And it was really, really beautiful. You're talking about the next vice president of the United States. I mean, that's a big deal. And then she went on to say, I wrote about this in my weekly Dvar Torah, for those of you who see that stuff. Then she went on to say, Hanukkah is also about tikkun olam. And I thought, oh yeah, all the vice presidents now will be speaking Hebrew. They'll all be rabbis. She talked about fixing the world, and she talked about a couple of other elements. But when she said tikkun olam, I went, holy cow, that's great. We might hear that from the White House one day. So if someone says to you, again, Juliana, you and all of us, like, what do you like about Rosh Hashanah? What do you like about Shabbos? What do you like about Hanukkah? Hopefully we'll have answers, If nothing more, I'm not sure, but my people does this. It's our tradition. It's our heritage. My parents taught me. I do it. That's a good enough reason For a lot of people, that's the reason they do these things, because it's tradition. It's a part of what they were taught. But hopefully, and you having a beautiful Jewish education and background in and outside of your house, hopefully you'll have more reasons. You'll be able to say, I like the idea of miracles and hope. I like the idea of light. I like the idea that our people were few, but they were mighty, and they became heroic, and they won the day. So hopefully you'll have your reasons for doing all these things, whatever they may be. And we hope that there'll be individual reasons and also collective reasons that you'll feel a kinship with all of us doing these things. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'll finish with one of the reasons why. We take Hanukkah for granted, every year, 8 days big, Christmas season, Kwanzaa, lights, candles, trees, big this time of year. The original date of Hanukkah is 164 before the Common Era. According to the tradition, when the Syrian Greeks put up a pagan idol in the city of Modi'in, which is not too far from Jerusalem. It's a modern city. You can go there. I have friends who live in Modi'in. Matityahu, the high priest, took great offense. He tore it down, and the rebellion started. So then his sons, of which Judah Maccabee was the most famous, fought a guerrilla warfare against a heavily armored and numerous army, but they fought for 3 years, and according to the tradition, they prevailed. And in 164, they entered the temple, and to their dismay, they saw that it had become a pagan place of worship. And so they were looking for the oil. They had to rededicate it. They had to clean it out, all these things the Talmud talks about, all this stuff, and that's what they did. So then they went about lighting the lights, and we got Hanukkah. There's a lot of theories that say, now Hanukkah was born then, but a lot of people said Hanukkah was not supposed to be a new holiday. What was it supposed to be? Sometimes when you miss something, you miss something. But sometimes when you miss something, you do it when you can, right? What were the Maccabees doing? They were fighting. What did they want to do like a month and a half ago? Celebrate Sukkot, which was like 7, 8 days. So Hanukkah might have been a late Sukkot celebration. Nothing more. But then it morphed into the miracle and into the story of the lights and all this other stuff. And then it became the holiday that we know it to be today. But if that was in 164, before the Common Era, in the Talmud, in Masechet Shabbat on page 21b, which is where we learn about Hanukkah from. It doesn't have its own tractate. It's found within Shabbat, probably because they both involve candle lighting and oil and wicks and all this stuff. They talk about all that. There's a question on page 21b that simply says, My Hanukkah, which means, what is Hanukkah all about, or why are we doing Hanukkah? Now, I asked you, you knew why. You knew about the miracle and the 8 days and all that stuff. Why were rabbis, who supposedly should know this stuff, asking what's Hanukkah about? And there's some interesting answers. One is that, and again, if you want to see more, I wrote about this today. Juliana, sometimes things happen, we do things, and we celebrate it once and it's done. It's over, Sometimes we do things and then we celebrate it forever. Like July 4th, since 1776, every year. It's a big deal for us. But other things happen once and you do it and you move on. That's the way it is. Seems what might have happened thousands of years ago, almost 2,000 years ago, is that the great victory of Hanukkah in many ways was short-lived. It didn't last forever. The Maccabees, yes, according to the tradition, got back the temple, rededicated it, lit the lights, yada, yada, etc. But then within a few generations after that, the Hasmonean family fell into infighting. There was jealousy, people killed each other, and this whole sense of family strength and togetherness kind of like disappeared. Then the Jews at that time not only prevailed over the Hellenists, Syrian Greeks and Hellenism, but they also were fighting a lot of Jews who didn't want to be traditional Jews anymore. They wanted to embrace Hellenism, just like Jews in America today. People in America don't necessarily care about Judaism, but they embrace lots of other things. So they wanted to celebrate the world that the Greeks had brought. And we celebrate it today. Democracy was a Greek invention. Philosophy, a lot of things. We still are part of America, part of our lives. So it was also kind of like a battle against Jews who didn't want to be traditional Jews anymore. And at some point, that gained something of an upper hand too, because then you had the Greeks, you had the Romans. Before you know it, there were fewer people being traditional Jews. So it seems that what might have happened a couple hundred years later, it seemed that this great victory and the remembrance of the miracle was kind of like lost. And so the rabbis were asking, like, what do we do in this Hanukkah thing anymore? Because it doesn't seem like its original meaning and celebration is still significant to us today. So there's a lesson in and of itself there. There are things you're going to do the rest of your life and find good reason for doing so. And other things you might just do once. And even though it was great and fun, you don't do it again. La Col's Bon, there's a time for everything. But at one point we know that Hanukkah became so lost in terms of what we were doing it for anymore that the rabbis of the Talmud were moved to ask, what's this Hanukkah thing all about? And it probably was a minor holiday, like lesser known in different times, different places. Today, it's huge. A lot of it has to do with Christmas. You know, Christians have their thing. Jews wanted their thing. Kwanzaa came into our life in our time. And all that's good because every cultural people throughout history have had a midwinter festival of lights to bring up hope and cheer at a time when the world was cold, dark, days were short. And a lot of people didn't do well in the winter. We are so blessed. Look at us. We've got artificial lights. We have heat. People didn't have this throughout much of history. They were subject to the elements. They lived outside. If they were lucky, they could make fires. And if they were lucky, wherever they lived had some protection, like a thatched hut or something. But we are so spoiled. It doesn't make a difference if it's winter tonight. We could turn up the thermostat to 90 degrees and sit here like it's Florida. But a lot of people didn't have that. So a midwinter festival gave them something to cheer about and to say, hang in there, better days are coming. So we all have that. So I just wanted to share these thoughts because it's Hanukkah. And again, we hope you'll take away some stuff from this. Hanukkah's major today, but who knows what it'll be in 100 years, Jewel? Maybe it'll be minor again. Maybe things will change. I mean, things have changed now. We do things differently because of Corona. Maybe Hanukkah will change its message or change how important it is because traditionally it really is a minor festival. It's not a yontif. So maybe it won't be as big or maybe it'll be bigger because people celebrate miracles all the time and celebrate light and hope and good things. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But we just know that it hasn't been even since its beginning. It's kind of like enjoyed ups and downs. And in Israel, where it's a minor holiday, in Israel, because it's most people, it is so major. They just made it a major cultural festival. It's not a yontif. You can go to work and school, but all kids are off during Hanukkah, 8 days. It's like a big celebration. It's like a summer vacation. There's Sofonah sales, end of the year sales. People are out in the streets. They're shopping. You see the Hanukkah lights everywhere. They're eating jelly donuts. It's huge there. And it's in some ways bigger than even the major holidays because it's not a religious holiday so much. It's like a cultural holiday. So we'll see where it goes. But this year you should remember, 5781, on Shabbat Hanukkah, you became a bat mitzvah. You lit the lights. There's a lot of joy in the room. There's a lot of good things happening. And that's a miracle. We're alive, we're healthy, we're Jewish, we're not sick, and we'll hope to do good by ourselves and others and always see miracles happen in our lifetime. So mazel tov to you and to mom and dad and to everybody, and it's really great to share this beautiful Shabbat with you all. So with those thoughts in mind, we're going to invite Juliana to come join us back on the bima, and I think your two cousins are going to join you. They're going to stand with you. So we talked about that? Got to call them up. Bring them, go get them. Bring them up with you. Guys, you want to come up here? Joel, do you have Kiddush? It's page 50.
Yep, right here.
Okay, go get the Kiddush cup. So we are welcoming, don't tell me, Micah and Luca. Am I right? Wow, hi guys. Look adorable. Why don't you go stand with your cousin? Hi. Go stand with your cousin. You're going to help her out. Be right by her side, okay? And for those who would like to rise, as Juliana recites Kiddush, page 55. Amen.
כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת, נתנו קידשת, מכל העמים, לשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen. Let's wish Juliana well. L'chaim. L'chaim. Mazel tov. There you go. It's grape juice, Mom and Dad. Don't worry too much.
Little sip.
Yeah, I know. I know. My little one loved wine when she was little.
Look up.
Beautiful. We're going to continue with Aleinu on the next page, page 56. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol lateit gedula liotzer breshi shalo asanu kugoye aratzot velo samanu kibishmachon adama shalo samkelkinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol amonah.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשלחמים ומודים לפני מלך אחרי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא נאמר והיה אדוני ומלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
Page 58 is the mourner's Kaddish. For those who would like to remain standing, please do so. For those who want to sit, you may do so. In recent days, we mourn the passing of John Stan, longtime congregant, Helen's husband. And we also remember, sadly, the growing number of corona victims and sad stories in this country, throughout the world. For everybody that we remember, Bi'ava, with love in our hearts, page 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Bi'alama divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imaru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivorach Leolam Ulomei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudsha B'richu Le'elah Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alama v'imaru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imaru. Amen. You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Happy Hanukkah. Here's another trivia question, which we'll have one more tonight. So say I come up to you, and you see me start to say something, and you have a good sense, you know what I'm going to say to you. Shabbat Shalom, Happy Hanukkah. Or I might say Happy Hanukkah and Shabbat Shalom. The question is, does it make a difference? And if it does, then what do you say first and why? Ooh. Interesting. Does it make a difference? No. Tell me your name. Audrey, you're not invited back tomorrow. You know way too much. For sure not. I didn't prepare anything, and you're like making me work hard, and it's too much. Audrey, great question. No, because we always light candles, Shabbat candles are always last, because according to the dominant tradition all over the world, after you light the fires of Shabbat, it's Shabbat, and then we're not allowed to ladlik anymore, light candles. So what might you light before? Hanukkah candles, Yortzeit candles, things like that. Always comes before. It's a great question, but it doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with a Talmudic principle. So let me get back to, does it matter, yes or no? Yes. All right, Mike, why? Or what's the answer? What do we do?
Because you have one thing that's celebrated all the time, and you have one thing that's being celebrated as something special, and comes and goes, and it's not always there.
So which one takes precedence? What do you do first then? According to what you said.
The normal goes first.
The normal, meaning that which is more frequently practiced? Okay. Okay. So before I tell you what the Talmud says, I will tell you that you're all right. You can't do much wrong with this stuff. I mean, really, I've never seen anybody, according to the tradition of the Talmud, Talmud says, Tadir v'she'enu tadir tadir kodem, which means if you have two traditions at play, and you have to do one then the other, Tadir is the more frequently practiced one, and one that's not as frequent, the more frequently practiced one is said first. So therefore, according to that, we would first say Shabbat Shalom, because that's like 52 times a year. Hanukkah is like 8 times a year. So it'd be Shabbat Shalom, Happy Hanukkah, the way it goes. If, God be willing, one day you go to heaven, you're 120 years old or older, and God says, I don't know if I'm going to let you in. Once you said Happy Hanukkah before Shabbat Shalom, believe me, you can say, if that's the worst thing you got me down for, I should be okay, right? But traditionally, it's the more frequent one. That's why people bless candles Shabbat v'Yom Tov, because Shabbat's more frequent, and also people say Good Shabbos, Good Yontif. That's usually why, because of the frequent one. You could make a good case, and this is Talmudic, because that's what the Talmud does. It argues every perspective. You could make a good case, why don't you honor the one that's less frequent, and we see less first, and give them that, and we do that with the lighting of the candles. Every night, we light the new night, so that each candle has a chance to shine first. So we do it there. So it's a tradition I share with you. As I said, if you forget or mix it up, it should be the worst thing you do, right? But there is a tradition that more frequent things. I'll tell you one more place where this comes into play. When we put on talis and fill in the morning, what do you put on first? Right, because you put on talis 7 days a week. And tefillin are not on Shabbos, they're only 6. That's why the talis goes on first, comes off last. Again, should be the worst thing in the world, you forget that. But I wanted to share that with you because it has to do with greetings and it has to do with how we lit the candles. So at this time, I'm going to invite you to rise for our last blessing. It has truly been a joy to be with you all. For those of you that are traveling now, drive safely. For those of you that are staying for Aruchat Shabbat, enjoy. We are going to bless our bat mitzvah and everyone as we sing to you, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Kein yehi ratzon. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Kein yehi ratzon. Yisa Adonai panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. Kein yehi ratzon. To our proud bat mitzvah and parents and grandparents and relatives and friends, may the Lord bless you and keep you, give you light, and grant you peace. And let us all say, Amen. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach to one and to all. Give Juliana a big hand. Juliana did great tonight.